The Nazi quest for ancient secrets during World War II is a fascinating and bizarre chapter in history, marked by an unpredictable mix of pseudo-science, mythology, and a desperate search for power. This quest refers to the efforts by the Nazi regime, particularly under Heinrich Himmler and the SS Ahnenerbe, to unearth ancient artifacts and locations believed to hold mystical or supernatural powers. The Nazis were driven by the belief that uncovering these ancient secrets would not only validate their racial and ideological narratives, but also provide them with tools to solidify their dominance. The significance of this point lies in its illustration of how the Nazi regime intertwined ideology with the occult and pseudo-archaeology, revealing their desperation and belief in alternative methods to achieve supremacy. This quest is an important aspect of understanding the lengths to which they were willing to go to secure an edge during the war. A specific example of this pursuit is the Nazi expedition to Tibet, led by Ernst Schäfer, aimed at finding evidence of an Aryan race's origin. This mission was part of their broader effort to trace and substantiate the racial superiority of the Aryan lineage through ancient history. Another notable instance is the search for the Holy Grail, an artifact Himmler believed could endow its possessor with ultimate power. This endeavor was part of the broader Nazi fascination with Christian relics, hoping these items might imbue them with invincibility. Some historians and researchers have argued that these pursuits were merely propaganda tools, designed to justify the regime's racist ideologies and distract from their brutal realities. Others believe that key Nazi figures genuinely subscribed to these esoteric beliefs and ambitiously pursued them, illustrating the depth of their ideological indoctrination. This obsession with ancient secrets also faced controversies and challenges, notably from mainstream scholars and scientists who dismissed these pursuits as baseless and without scientific merit. The resources dedicated to these projects were also seen as wasteful and detracting from the actual war effort. This chapter in Nazi history connects to broader aspects of the regime's operations, influencing their cultural policies and shaping their ideological framework. It underscores the extent of their manipulation of history and myth to underpin their racial doctrines. By exploring these quests, we gain insight into the complex and often irrational motivations that drove one of history's most infamous regimes, shedding light on the darker intersections of power, myth, and ideology. The Nazi regime, under Adolf Hitler's leadership, harbored a peculiar fascination with the occult, driving them to seek out ancient secrets believed to hold immense power and significance. The term occult beliefs encompasses mystical, supernatural, and arcane practices and doctrines often associated with hidden knowledge, magic, and a spiritual understanding of the universe beyond scientific explanation. During the Nazi era, these beliefs were not merely fantastical distractions, but integral components of the regime's ideological framework, influencing their ambitious and often bizarre quests. The significance of these occult beliefs is profound in understanding the motivation behind the Nazi expeditions. These pursuits were not mere flights of fancy. They were underpinned by a desire to harness supposed mystical powers to cement the Third Reich's dominance and reshape the world order. The Nazi obsession with the occult was personified by figures like Heinrich Himmler, who led the SS and drove efforts to rediscover and leverage these ancient secrets to strengthen their ideological narrative and Aryan mythos. One illustrative example of this obsession is the 1938 to 1939 Nazi expedition to Tibet, led by Ernst Schäfer. The team sought the origins of the Aryan race and investigated ancient Asian religious manuscripts, hoping to find evidence supporting their racial theories. Another notable endeavor was the search for the Holy Grail and the Spear of Destiny, believed to grant their possessor unparalleled mystical power. These artifacts were pursued with a quasi-religious fervor, seen as keys to unlocking ultimate power and validating the Nazis' ideological constructs. Supporters of these endeavors within the Nazi regime believed that discovering and harnessing these mystical secrets could secure their dominance and usher in a new era of Aryan supremacy. However, these pursuits were fraught with controversies and challenges. Critics and historians argue that the obsession with the occult was based on pseudo-science and myth rather than empirical evidence, ultimately distracting the Nazis from more practical military strategies. The focus on occult beliefs influenced the broader context of Nazi objectives, intersecting with their pseudo-scientific racial theories and anti-Semitic ideologies. This intertwining of mysticism and ideology not only drove expeditions, but also shaped propaganda and cultural narratives that aimed to legitimize their worldview and justify their actions. Thus, examining the occult beliefs driving Nazi expeditions provides critical insights into the broader motives and methods of a regime that sought power through both military might and mystical manipulation. The concept of the Holy Grail has fascinated historians, theologians, and adventurers for centuries. Traditionally described as the cup used by Jesus at the Last Supper, the Holy Grail has been enveloped in a shroud of mystery and legend, often believed to possess miraculous powers such as eternal youth or endless abundance. This intrigue was not lost on the Nazis during World War II, who, driven by a blend of myth, pseudo-science, and ideology, embarked on quests to unearth ancient artifacts they believed could grant them unparalleled power, including the Holy Grail. The Nazis' interest in the Holy Grail highlights their desperate search for powerful symbols that could cement their ideology and justify their expansionist ambitions. The search for the Grail by the Ahnenerbe, an SS organization dedicated to uncovering the scientific evidence of Aryan superiority, underscores the importance they placed on mystical objects. This quest wasn't merely about finding a relic, it was about establishing a narrative that intertwined mysticism with perceived racial destiny, thus reinforcing the Nazi propaganda machine. One real-world example of the Nazis' obsession with the Grail is the expedition led by SS officer Otto Rahn. Rahn was convinced that the Grail was linked to the Cathars, a medieval Christian sect in France, and he conducted extensive searches in the Pyrenees in the early 1930s. Another instance is the portrayal in popular media, such as the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which, while fictional, reflects the fascination and perilous adventures associated with the Nazis' pursuit of the Grail. Opinions supporting the significance of these quests point to the Nazis' belief in occultism as a means to claim historical and mystical validation for their regime. However, many historians and scholars view these pursuits as a blend of myth and propaganda, pointing out that no tangible evidence supports the existence of such powers or even the historical existence of the Holy Grail itself. This quest is fraught with controversy and alternative viewpoints. Skeptics argue that the Nazis' search was an exercise in futility, driven more by myth than historical evidence. Others suggest these pursuits were emblematic of the regime's broader exploitation of history to serve their narrative. The search for the Holy Grail ties into other Nazi quests for ancient secrets, such as expeditions to Tibet for Aryan ancestral roots, or the pursuit of the Spear of Destiny. These endeavors reflect a broader pattern of manipulating myth to underpin their ideology, showing how deeply entwined these mystical pursuits were with the political and military goals of the Nazi regime. The Spear of Destiny, also known as the Holy Lance, is a legendary artifact said to be the spear that pierced the side of Jesus Christ during his crucifixion. Throughout history, it has been associated with immense power and authority, believed to grant its possessor the ability to control the fate of the world. This mythological status caught the attention of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime, who were obsessed with harnessing ancient secrets and artifacts to bolster their propaganda and strengthen their grip on power. The significance of the Spear of Destiny in the context of the Nazis' quest lies in its symbolic representation of ultimate power and legitimacy. For a regime that thrived on grandiose imagery and myth-making, the spear was more than just a relic. It was a tool to inspire awe and reinforce the narrative of their destined greatness. The Nazis believed that possessing such a talisman would not only legitimize their rule, but also imbue them with an invincible aura. In terms of real-world applications, Hitler's obsession with the spear was so profound that he ensured its safekeeping at the Hofburg Palace in Vienna, treating it as a national treasure to bolster nationalistic fervor. Another instance can be seen in the various Nazi expeditions sent out to collect artifacts believed to have mystical powers, demonstrating their belief in the tangible benefits that such objects could confer upon their regime. Support for the Nazis' interest in the spear often draws from the belief that they sought symbols that could promote unity and a sense of historic continuity for their cause. Historians and occultists alike have examined how the myth of the spear was woven into Nazi ideology, suggesting that it was used to manipulate the masses and enhance the perception of Hitler as a divinely appointed leader. However, controversies surround these claims, with skeptics questioning the historical accuracy of the spear's purported powers and the validity of the Nazis' alleged possession of it. Additionally, some argue that the emphasis on such artifacts reflects a more profound desperation in the Nazis' search for validation and power, revealing a regime riddled with insecurities and fanciful beliefs. The pursuit of the Spear of Destiny connects to the broader theme of the Nazis' fascination with ancient secrets as a means to solidify their power and propagate their ideology. It illustrates the lengths to which they would go to exploit myths for political gain, paralleling their interest in other mystical and pseudo-scientific endeavors that aim to cement their dominance on the global stage.